Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the WE Knives Upshot. Apparently a special edition or limited edition knife. When I reviewed the Sear, I thought that they had a basic version of it, which was just the regular tumbled one, and then they had two limited edition versions. Going back and looking, I found that all of them were limited editions, and that's the same way with the Sear. Both of the versions that are available at retailers are limited edition versions. The reason that I'm confused by that is because generally when you say limited edition, it means that there's a standard version of it and then there's a special version that is limited. So this is not the case, apparently. In any case, I will link this knife right down below. You can get it right now. It's got two forms that I have found. It does support the channel when you use my links, so I appreciate that, but they're down there for you to make that choice for yourself. Thanks so much to my generous patrons who are supporting me. There's a link for Patreon right down below, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. And thanks to Jake for loaning this for review. I appreciate that. Let's go ahead and get a measurement of this guy. The overall length of the Upshot is coming in at 7.8, yeah, it's about 7.85 inches overall. Blade length is coming in at about 3.4 inches, and then your cutting edge is coming in at 3 inches on the dot. Good measurements there. I think most people will like that. I'd consider this a full-size knife. How about some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1 and its little brother, the Ontario Rat Model 2? Right in between. How about up against the, gotta get my verbal timing down, Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. So you can see here, it is a large knife. It's just slender. It has a slender profile. Last but not least, the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue, and the Benchmade Bug Out. Definitely more, you know, the profile is more bug outy, but it's longer, right? Very nearly the same length as the Ritter Hogue. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. So thickness of the blade up against, I'm sorry, not the blade, thickness of the scales up against the Spyderco Para 3. These are modded scales, but they are the same thickness as the stock scales. So you can see here it's very close to the same thickness. It's got some chamfered edges there. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. It is really, the length is not that much longer than the Para 3. It's definitely shorter than the PM2, and it's definitely nowhere near as tall this way. So yeah, the hump in the blades for both the PM2 and Para 3 are gonna, you know, take up more pocket room than this guy. Let's go ahead and measure blade stock thickness. Calipers, there they are. Blade stock thickness, I'm gonna guess it's a lot like the Sear. It'll be 125 thousandths. Yeah, 124, it's probably 125 thousandths. Materials, we're looking at CPM 20 CV steel, which you can see, right? Well, actually, no, you can't see it, but, oh wait, no, sorry. Can we see it right there? CPM 20 CV, it's just barely on there. Titanium, and I believe, you can get my flashlight down in the description. I believe it is unmilled. Yeah, there's no milling on the inside of the titanium. Not that it needs it, right? It probably would have helped out with balance a little bit. Here's where it's balanced. Some milling might have brought it up to about here, but that's not really a big deal. Weight. Scale, there it is. I'm gonna guess this guy weighs about 3.5 ounces, something like that. Let's find out. Oh, so close. They don't generally get that close. 3.49 ounces. So there you go. It's got pretty good ratios. Those of you who are into ratios, like the whole ounce and inch thing, yeah, pretty good. Hardware check. Let's get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the description in the section that talks about my tools. Also, it's the link in the pinned comment as well. T8 is what I'm putting in here. Pivot, lock bar insert screw, and the handle screw. I don't need to check it. It is the same. Pocket clip screws are going to be T6. Minimal hardware, just a couple of screws on each side, so it should be very easy to take apart. So that's nice. Did we get through all of that? Yeah, I think we did. Okay, so this is another titanium frame lock flipper from WE. As I've been saying here lately, I'm glad that their approach has been more straightforward, more practical, more minimalist, just more handsome looking knives all the way around. The other side of that teeter-totter is that they end up looking very vanilla. That is a very potent trend right now in the knife world. We have all been, no matter what people say, we've all been buying a lot of knives that have a very straightforward, minimalist look. And you know, I'm gonna exist on both sides of that fence, right? I do like how this looks, but I also kind of think it looks boring, right? It's just kind of one of those things where it's like, ooh, that's nice. Ooh, there's like 1,000 other things out there that look kind of like this, but okay. This version has there's a couple of different versions of this knife, but this version has the black washed frame, bronze accents. Then it has a hammered and anodized pocket clip. That's kind of neat. We're going to talk about that clip. This is a polished bead blast finish, and it's one of my favorite finishes to see on a knife. I am sick to death of satin finishes. I like tumbled finishes. Some tumbled finishes are darker. Some of them are more polished with heavier scratches, right? Some of them are more polished with a, little teeny tiny scratches. This polished bead blasting kind of gives it this overcast sky look, and I like that. It looks good and it looks premium. This is a finish that I like to see. It's kind of like what I say, like plain titanium that's just like a color is meh. I like to see titanium that is milled, textured, has different lines. I also like to see like on the WE Esprit where they did the orange peel texturing. That's cool, right? I think it would have been nice to see some type of texturing on this guy, but it's okay the way that it is. I definitely like the blade though. Ergonomically, there's not really much locking you in. It's basically just a bent rectangle, right? But it does work, and the edges are nicely knocked down, right? It's nothing special. We've seen this before. The pocket clip is, again, this goosebill thing that drives me absolutely crazy, and they need to change this. I don't like these clips that they are just stamping and pressing and putting on a wide variety. I just reviewed 3 knives in a row. The Sakshi, the Sear, and now the Upshot all have the same clip, and I'm sure that they are, I'm sure that there are other models in WE's current line that are doing the same thing. These nicer titanium frame locks need their own clips. This clip will work, it's functional, but I don't want, I want to see individual personality between these models outside of just the lines, right? This is already a pretty straightforward, simple, clean knife, and it does look good, but it's already kind of lacking in a specific personality. A pocket clip, a specific clip that is shaped for the design can help with that a little bit, and just stamping out these one-size-fits-all clips and putting them on these knives, I'm not a huge fan of that. Moving on to something I do like, though, the blade is very nice. Jimping extends out to a reasonable position on the spine, so this position is good, right? Choking up, there's actually a nice roomy choil on this guy, which I really like. You can definitely get that second knuckle in there, excuse the wound. But yeah, this is nice. You can choke up right behind the blade, and the blade does get really thin. You can see the taper here, right, out to the tip. So this is going to be a performance-oriented blade, and it is the geometry is further accentuated by the CPM 20CV steel, which is nice. This is just a straightforward, nice blade for EDC, and I like it. It's not doing anything crazy. It's not doing anything new. It doesn't necessarily have to. The blade will work. The blade will make short work of whatever it is that you're doing for EDC, as long as you're not trying to like anchor down a boat, scale a building, pry the door off a bomb shelter, etc. The blade is nice, and it's essentially perfect. There's nothing, I love that there's nothing on the blade. It just looks really nice. Action. There is no double clutch, but it is close. Show you the point where the detent ball gets up on the face of the blade is right here. It's stopped. Now it's passed. So it's not quite double clutch, but it is close. The action, again, like a lot of WEs, it's tight, right? So it's smooth and consistent, but it does take some wiggles. Drop a 10 weight nano oil, which is also down, it's in that Amazon link down in the description. Drop of that 10 weight nano oil right on the detent ball should help with that. Give it a couple days, a few hundred or so flips or so. That detent ball will wear its track into the blade, and that nano oil should help smooth it up. Of course, you can always take it apart and add that into the internals, right? But that'll usually do it. Good access to the lock bar. That area has been nicely carved out, so you can approach it from the side and not straight down from the top, which drives me absolutely crazy. The flipping action is good. The flipper tab is very low profile, so light switch, fine. Push button, it's fine. It's almost too small, but it does work, and the detent strength is also good. Right, nice click there. It's pretty much par for the course for WE knives. It's exactly anybody who's handled more than, like, if you've literally just handled 2, you know what to expect, right? They're all fairly close, right? So it's good. No issues there whatsoever. Nice, clean, just sort of nothingness here. I would have liked to see something, maybe, and it would be cool if they had an area carved out here and then they textured in the area, or they just did something. I don't know. These, like, I get, there is an appeal to just the straightforward, just real clean and classy and not trying to be show-offy and, you know, but it's also, I don't know, very plain suit look, right? The only personality coming out is the contrast between the anodized hardware, right? And the clip is definitely, you know, that's like a guy wearing a nice suit and then he's got a freaking rainbow top hat on. But you know what? I also own knives. I own knives that have that kind of look, right? So I don't know why I'm not poking fun at that, right? But it does kind of have that look to it. Seating of the hardware, fit and finish, everything is exactly what you'd expect. It's perfect. Can't touch the blade right here, which is nice because it's a big open area. Have a couple of rich bronze standoffs. It does look good. The bronze anodization they've got going on there. Sorry, I'll get it a little closer. Looks nice. Lanyard pin, totally out of the way. So, you know, lanyard people, you can attach a lanyard to it if you want. For everybody else, you don't have to mess with it. Pocket clip, carries completely and totally deep. Once again, and I say that once again because I've handled 3 knives now, all from Jake actually, where the pocket clip is just resting on top of the titanium, which looks cheap. The whole idea with the clip, obviously they want to have a pocket clip that's just good enough. They can slap it on these, you know, higher end models and it'll work. But you know what? I'd almost rather have a clip that is functionally, I mean, as a knife reviewer and enthusiast, right? A lot of times enthusiast elements do not translate to practical use. And a lot of people say, well, you shouldn't be reviewing pocket knives then because pocket knives are tools. Every last element of them should be practical. I agree, but I think there's a limitation on that. Sometimes it's like, well, you know, that limits it on how interesting it can be. And I am an enthusiast and, you know, it might not be beneficial for everybody watching, but there's definitely, as an enthusiast, I look for those things in these knives because otherwise I'm bored with it. This is a boring clip. It also has a freaking bill on it that makes it creates a hot spot. It doesn't feel good, right? Wear gloves. I know, but you know, generally speaking, you pick this knife up to use it, maybe you only have to make a couple of hard cuts, right? But you're gonna be feeling that with your bare hand. No, don't want this clip. It's fine if you want to do the anodizing and the hammering. I think that actually looks pretty good, but a different clip. This, like, you know, generic, you know, it's like, well, it's a safe enough clip. It's got 3 holes in it. It's deep carry, right? It'll rise to meet the pocket seam. Sure. But it just doesn't go with the knife. I want something specific to these lines. I want something specific to the personality that this knife is bringing to the table, right? Functionally, if you're just like, I don't care about any of this mess complex, does the clip function? Will it keep it attached to my pants? Yeah, it will. So if you don't care about this, you can skip this part, right? It will work just fine. But I want this clip to be 3D milled, considering how much this knife costs. I want a 3D milled clip. I want it like sunk into the titanium, preferably a way to have it mounted on the left-hand side, right? But it's not, so okay. And I want it like, it can still be plain, but it should be plain in relationship to the other plain elements of the knife, right? It still has its own lines. It should match that, and it doesn't. So that's kind of frustrating. Plenty of retention. It's a titanium clip, right? It's just, that bill. I hate that. Lock bar insert, doubling as the overtrail stop. That's good. That's also par for the course for WE and pretty much everybody right now. Lockup is coming in pretty early. That is something like maybe 20%. That's fine though, because there's no blade play up, down, left, or right. No hint of slippage or anything like that. There's a stop pin, and this one is internal, and it follows the blade. Can you see? Yeah, there it is. Follows the blade. I like that. I like that versus a traditional stop pin. So that's nice. Nice little touch there. No blade play up, down, left, or right. No pivot lash. That's, again, what we expect from WE. And no detent lash. How's the centering? I imagine it's perfect. It sure is. It's a pretty good knife. How much is this? $209. Not bad. I think pretty much everything that WE puts out, not Civivi, some of the in-between stuff, the Sawiwis, and some of these, you know, higher-end WE knives, I think all of them are anywhere from a little bit high to definitely high. This one's a little bit high. I would have liked to see it come in at about $185, but what are we at there? We're $195, we're $25 under that at $209. Everything in the whole world could be $25 less and be $25 richer and $25 happier, right? Do I think if you like how this looks, do I think 25 bucks should, you know, steer you away from it? I don't know. I mean, it's up to you. But for me, I think it's just a bit high. It's a plain knife. It's using premium materials, right? But considering the competition out there, you know, it's like I've been saying, I'm going to be a bit harder on some of these Chinese OEMs. And it's not because I'm like, you know, specifically like I'm anti this or pro that. No, I just know that they cost substantially less to manufacture there. So I think the price, it should be reflected. We have other knives. We have other designers that live in various parts of the world. Some of them here in the United States. They use a Chinese OEM to produce their stuff. Newer, up and coming. And I can see how much different the pricing is on these smaller guys than it is with WE. And, you know, WE does not exist in this territory now where their quality is unmatched by few. It used to be, it's like, well, there's Riot, you know, and then like there's Bestech, but Bestech's behind it. No, Bestech has caught up. In fact, I've got a lot of examples from Bestech that I think are better than a lot of the WEs that I handle. Riot is still way up there in terms of like incredible quality and a little bit more justifiable with their pricing, but still they've been getting a little high too. Then there's a whole bunch of other, you know, and I'm not sure who they use. There's definitely a lot of designers out there who use WE and they use Bestech and they use Riot, right? A lot of them don't want to say exactly who they're using, and I'm sure, you know, well, I'm not sure, but maybe there's some, you know, hey, don't say who we are, right? Because it's like, you know, again, I don't work for anybody. I don't see behind the scenes. I don't know this. It's all just guesswork, speculation. It's my opinion, right? None of these OEMs want anybody to think that, you know, there's a difference between the stuff that they actually put their logos on and the stuff that they don't in terms of pricing. But I'm starting to get an indication there that maybe it is my opinion that from my perspective, maybe that could possibly be the case. I don't know that for sure though, and I want to stress that because I do like WE knives. I do like Civivi knives, and I do like a lot of the knives coming out of, you know, a lot of these manufacturers. But yeah, there's a huge gap in some of this pricing depending on who it comes from, right? So I think the price needs to be dialed back on a lot of this stuff. It's nice. If you like how this looks, this is definitely one of the better, one of the easier, the less offensive price tags that I've seen on some of the higher end WE stuff. And this design is good. It's very basic, but it's good. And the materials are nice, right? It's another titanium frame lock, running on bearings, etc. But I especially like this finish. I think we should do that a lot more. I do like this. And I think if you buy it, you're definitely going to be happy with it, right? You're looking at it right now through a rectangle. You're like, oh, am I going to like that? Yeah, you're probably going to like that, right? It's just a bit high in price. That's really what I'm saying there. I don't know that there's really a whole lot more that I need to say other than thank you, Jake, for lending this to me for review. Like I said, links for this guy right down in the description. If you choose to use my links, it does support the channel, so I'd appreciate that. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.